2018, my family and I bought this farmhouse in Burgundy in France. It's over 150 years old, and we initially thought this was going to be our holiday home. But after we spent 1 week here, we decided we really wanted to live here permanently, so we moved here in February 2019. We were just so enchanted by the calm and peacefulness of life in the countryside. It has completely changed the way we look at life, the way we spend our days, and so there is no way that we would ever want to go back to the city in the Netherlands where we lived when we bought the house. So we moved here permanently in February 2019 and started turning this farmhouse into our family's dream home. I always say we started renovating, but really, we didn't really start renovating, we started building the house. The inside was as it had always been. There was just this small area where the farmer used to live. It had a heated living room, a simple bathroom and kitchen that weren't heated. The house wasn't insulated at all. And then adjacent to the living room was the former barn where they kept all their materials, and the previous owners had built a very simple bedroom in there, and then next to the barn was the former stables where the cows were, and everything was left in that original state when we bought the house. The majority of the works we've done so far is turn the former stables into a holiday home, which we now call the cook's cottage. And that wasn't just painting a few walls and fixing a few things, it was literally demolishing everything that was there for the cows previously and building a house from scratch. All that was left were 4 walls, and not even 4 actually, and a roof, and everything had to be done. We had to create extra walls, we had to insulate the roof, we had to insulate the walls, we had to insulate the floor, we had to make a floor, we had to make a second floor. A lot of work went into creating that first home, which is where we now live. We rented it out during the summer. This is now where we live while we finish the other parts of the house. We also had a little extra tiny project when we had the idea of building a cabin in the farm field that is next to our house, because we thought it would be such a cool idea to welcome guests there. You can imagine all of this takes time. We're doing the majority, like 80% of the building works ourselves, which is something that we really wanted and we really enjoy, but it does mean things take a lot more time than you would want. So we're 5 years in now, and when I was making this video, I could see how far we've come. Our first 3 years here, we were basically camping in the house, and we kept saying to each other and to our boys, everything is temporary. We're going to turn this into a beautiful home, but it did take a lot of vision, a lot of perseverance, and a lot of patience. Not just from us, but also from our boys, because 5 years in, we're still not finished. I'm incredibly proud of all that we've accomplished so far, and at the same time, I'm really longing to have that house that I have been seeing in my head for 5 years. So I'm very excited that Olav has finally picked up the building works for our family's part of the house. So the kitchen, our future kitchen, it will also have a bedroom and a bathroom upstairs. Now, I wanted to give you a quick recap of what we've done so far. So we're currently working on this middle part of the house where you see this big bay window. The cottage is to the right. That is now finished. We currently live there, and we're going to work on this middle part, the former barn, and the previous farmer's house, the oldest part of the house, is to the left where you see all the shutters closed. We decided to not do all of the building works for this part of the house ourselves. We've done this for the cottage. We know how intense it is. So we've had wonderful help of Kevin and Thomas, two professional builders, and they have done incredible work. First, to demolish the horrible room that the previous owners created here in the barn. Maybe you remember that video that I did. Because everything is temporary, I didn't touch this room until at some point I said to Olav, it is so ugly, I just want to just quickly spice it up a little bit. So I turned that into a brighter, more warm and welcoming space. And we still used it as such, I think for over a year, maybe a year and a half. So that was all demolished. The builders found out that the previous builders who built this did not put any iron in the concrete, so it was actually quite a dangerous structure. So they broke that all down. Also the old en pierre walls that were inside the barn, because that was where traditionally the farmer had a cave, a cool, cold room, like a root cellar. We kept all the original stones because they might come in handy for future projects. So we basically turned this back into one big space. Next, we dug out about 50 centimeters of the soil so we could put in all the plumbing, underfloor heating, and pour a concrete floor. The next thing the professional builders did was fix a really big crack that was in the wall. We really were worried about this crack when we visited the house, but fortunately we had a professional builder that came with us to one of the visits, and he told us that this was really easy to fix. So we were happy still that after 4 years this was finally being fixed. So they fixed that crack, and then they created all the openings that we wanted in the house. An opening from the barn to the former living room that will still be our living room in a couple of years' time. An opening also from the kitchen to the porch leading into the garden. Next, they built an interior wall to separate the kitchen from the future pantry, but this is also going to be a structural wall to hold the second floor beams. Kevin and Thomas put in the 4 big beams, and then Olav finished the floor or the ceiling, whichever you want to call it, to create our second floor. With the help of our friend Patrick, Olav put in the back door from the kitchen to the porch. Then the builders came back to make some preparations for the big bay window to be installed. And next, Olav insulated the north-facing wall using hemp blocks. If you're interested in seeing more of the actual building works, You can check out Olav's channel. I have put a link to his channel in the description. I usually don't share a lot of the building works because basically that's what he shares, so I leave that content for his channel, but I know some of you are interested, so check out the link in the description box. Editing this footage, I can't believe this was already 1 year ago, but we were going into winter, so we were excited that we finally had the big bay window installed that completely changed the look of the space. Since we're creating a bedroom and a bathroom on that second floor, Olav installed a skylight in the roof to bring in more natural light. And then our friend Patrick came back to put in all the insulation of the roof, which was a horrendous task. Olav then discovered that one of the beams of the roof was rotten, so we had to reinforce this. We had experts look at it, so that took up some extra time before we could continue finishing this space. The opening that is left in the wall is going to be a verrière, so that's going to be glass. We thought it would be really cool if you could look down into the kitchen from the bedroom upstairs, and also it will let in more light. Then our friend Pascale came to help Olav to repoint all the walls that we are not going to insulate and that we are going to leave with the stones exposed. We've been renovating for over 4 years, and little did I know, I thought you just do the renovation works and it's a quite smooth process, but in real life, it means you're moving materials and furniture and tools and stuff from one space to the other all the time. Now we need to clear everything that was in the ground floor in this space because they're coming to install the underfloor heating, which I'm very excited about, but everything needs to go. This space needs to be completely clean. This feels like a big milestone because they will finally pour the top floor over this, which kind of makes this a base to work from and start really building the interior from. So we were happy about that, but it also brings us to the stage where we need to start looking at finalizing our decisions for this space. The kitchen is what I'm focused on most, and maybe you've seen the mood board that I've created for this a little over 2 years ago, probably We have looked at the floor. We put béton ciré in the cottage. We absolutely love how it looks, but I quickly realized it is just not going to work for my heavy-duty kitchen that I will live in with 2 teenage boys and lots of people walking in and out. We've looked at all kinds of tiles and whatnot, but I absolutely hate floor tiles and actually decided to go back to my initial thoughts of putting in tomates. And tomates are traditional for this region, for many parts of France. They were originally in the oldest part of the house, but since we had not foreseen putting them in, they're about 2 centimeters thick, we needed to look at alternative tomates, and we found a factory in the Beaujolais, which is about an hour and a half drive, where they make them, new ones, and where they're able to make them much thinner than the traditional ones. So I'm going to take you to that factory where we just went to visit and see what was possible and actually picked our new floor tiles.
On a des mauvaises surprises dans le four, il y a des carreaux qui ont cassé, et pour être sûr d'avoir la surface dont on a besoin. 16. Vous voulez en prendre un, monsieur, pour voir? Voilà. Vous voyez la différence? Et il y a même plus petit, j'en ai un là, enfin épais comme ça.
Ok, ouais. Peu importe la
taille.
La taille.
Donc on travaille avec 2 terres. Une terre rouge qui est à gauche et une terre beige qui est à droite. Donc quand on est en beige pur, on n'utilise que la terre beige. Quand on est en rouge pur, que la terre rouge. Et là aujourd'hui, c'est pas une journée de fabrication, c'est dommage. Mais... Et la terre monte là sur le tapis roulant. En bandeau là.
Ah oui.
Vous voyez? Là. Ouais. C'est mis dans le tunnel de séchage pendant environ 12 à 15 jours. Ça dépend de la météo.
She's explaining all the details of the manufacturing process to us. The tiles are shaped and then put in a drying tunnel for about 12 to 15 days. They then go into the oven and the temperature rises to up to 1500 degrees Celsius. And she also explained how closer the tiles are to the burners, the more color they will have. And this explains how tiles in one batch can have many different hues of pink.
Notre atelier émaillage est ici. Alors, donc il est nettoyé à l'éponge pour pas qu'il y ait de poussière, rien du tout. Et ça c'est un bain d'émail. Donc là il y a des mélanges de différents émaux. On a des recettes. C'est comme une recette. Plus loin vous allez voir dans le stock vous verrez tout un tas de couleurs. Vous allez pouvoir. C'est des recettes en fait à chaque fois comme une recette de cuisine.
C'est ça. Et on s'adapte en fonction des besoins. Là par exemple, Marie elle fait un décor dessiné, voilà.
Ah, c'est joli. Et ça c'était l'inspiration.
Voilà.
C'est des images de référence pour que ça ressemble à des oranges. Quoi.
Et après.
The lovely lady showed us around the factory and helped us pick the tiles that we wanted. And it was so interesting to see how much work goes into creating these tiles. And they also had wonderful glazed tiles that I fell in love with. So you can imagine, I thought I knew exactly how we were going to make this kitchen. But I've learned with renovating that as the renovations progress, things evolve, and sometimes you just need to make new choices and rethink your design. So I'm going back to my mood board because now that we've changed the floor tiles, I might want to change a couple of other things. Of course, I will keep you updated on the progress, And like I said, Olav shares all of the building works on his channel. So if you want to know all the nitty-gritty details about that, be sure to follow and subscribe, or at least try to watch his videos. They are in Dutch, but he recently started adding English subtitles. As always, I thank you so much for watching again this week, and I hope to share more in the next video, and see you then. Bye-bye.